Just so you know, all right, I'm not here to endorse one candidate over another. That is for Virginia's voters to decide. What I am doing here, though, is I'm trying to point out to you how important this is, what is at stake here, what it indicates, how voters in Virginia could be a microcosm for the larger American electorate, just 1 year out from the all-important 2022 midterm elections. Democrats desperately want McAuliffe to win Virginia, and tonight his campaign getting a big boost from the Vice President Kamala Harris.
Now, you all know that every 4 years when this election happens for governor of Virginia, it's a tight election, it's a close election, and it is a bellwether for what happens in the rest of the country. What happens in Virginia will in large part determine what happens in 2022, 2024, and on.
So let me just point out the obvious. Hovering over this race is the specter of the former president, and Terry McAuliffe, who was leading but has slipped in the polls, is trying to convince Virginia voters that a vote for Glenn Youngkin is a vote for, you know who.
He encouraged speculation that Donald Trump could be reinstated to office. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump has endorsed Glenn Youngkin. Donald Trump.
We don't need a lapdog for Donald Trump.
Well, just a few days ago, McAuliffe campaigned with President Biden, who beat his predecessor by 10 points in Virginia. But now in that same state, this race is neck and neck. Biden also pushing Youngkin right into Trump's corner.
Terry's opponent has made all of his private pledges of loyalty to Donald Trump. But what's really interesting to me, he won't stand next to Donald Trump now that the campaign's on. Think about it. He won't allow Donald Trump to campaign for him in this state.
Will the Democrats' strategy work? Will it work? We'll find out soon enough. Tuesday night, to be specific, and we're going to cover all of it for you all night. So like I said, McAuliffe has been slipping in the polls. He wanted Biden's infrastructure and social spending bills passed by now, maybe even more than the president did. He pleaded with Democrats in Congress to get it done. It's close, but it's not there yet. And it's too late for McAuliffe, where voters have been casting ballots for weeks now. For his part, Youngkin's been trying to keep his distance from the former president. He didn't want to campaign with him.
Well, he's not coming. And in fact, we're campaigning as Virginians in Virginia with Virginians.
His strategy has been to rile up voters about what kids are being taught in schools and throwing in some fear and lies about critical race theory. It may be working. It's gaining in the polls. Again, we'll know on Tuesday. We're going to know how voters feel. But one thing is for certain, one thing's for sure, if Youngkin wins, Trump's going to take credit and claim momentum ahead of next year's midterms and a possible second run for the White House in 2024. And the Democrats will have lost a state that President Biden won by 10 points just 1 year ago. So yes, there is a lot at stake in this race. Repercussions nationwide and elections to come. We're also learning today that Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois is not seeking re-election. He's retiring from Congress. That is too bad, because Kinzinger, a Republican, is a fierce critic of the former president, one of very few who are willing to stand up to his slash and burn style of politics, and who stands up for the truth, and who stands up for our democracy. That's why it's a real shame. Kinzinger is one of only 10 Republicans in the House to vote to impeach the former president, and he's one of the only 2 Republicans, along with Liz Cheney, to agree to sit on the Select Committee investigating the deadly January 6th insurrection, making his announcement today and saying this.
This country is in an incredibly perilous time, because in this day, to prevail or survive, you must belong to a tribe. Dehumanizing each other has become the norm. We've taken it from social media to the streets.
He's right. Dehumanizing behavior has become the norm. I'm going to give you some examples, so bear with me. Followers of the former president fed a constant stream of lies that the election was stolen, thought it was okay to storm the Capitol on January 6th. Dehumanizing behavior. 5 people died that day. Yet some of Kinzinger's GOP colleagues in the House amazingly outright dismissing the violence.
There was no insurrection, and to call it an insurrection, in my opinion, is a bold-faced lie.
Outright propaganda and lies are being used to unleash the national security state against law-abiding U.S. citizens, especially Trump voters. As a result, the DOJ is harassing peaceful patriots across the country.
It was Trump supporters who lost their lives that day, not Trump supporters who were taking the lives of others.
When I see this sheet on our timeline, and on the, let's see, okay, at 2:07, a mob of Trump supporters breached the steps. I don't know who did a poll that is Trump supporters.
There have been things worse than people without any firearms coming into a building.
Adam Kinzinger also calling out the former president without saying his name.
We've allowed leaders to reach power selling the false premise that strength comes from degrading others and dehumanizing those that look, act, or think differently than we do.
Also applies to members of Congress who, rather than debating issues on the floor of the House, which is their job, scream at their opponents on the steps of the Capitol.
Killing a baby up until birth is a lack of civility. It's called murder. Okay, how about the border down there? Lack of civility. How about lack of laws or protecting and upholding our Constitution?
And you should practice the basic thing you're taught in church. Respect your neighbor.
GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's egregious behavior is embarrassing. A member of Congress yelling at a colleague in public, but sadly, not unusual anymore, according to Adam Kinzinger.
In Congress, I've witnessed how division is heavily rooted. There's little to no desire to bridge our differences, and unity is no longer a word we use.
So where do we go from here? Where we go is really important, more important than ever. And when truth-telling, democracy-defending Republicans don't think there's a place for them in their party anymore, it's time for the GOP to do some real soul searching. Think that'll happen? I'll let you decide.